Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of Glorious Life Out and About. You know, I get so many comments on the interesting and amazing people that I interview and their unique stories. Well, today is no different. I'm bringing you a nomad today who is in her 60s and is a psychologist. Yes, that's right, a psychologist who decided that she wanted to pursue peace over comfort. That's how she described her decision. But I think it's best to let her tell you herself in her own words. I just want to let you know up front, she is wearing a face shield because when we taped this interview, it was in the midst of everything going on, and it was some months back. So we were taking certain precautions because we were indoors in her RV. And I held this interview because I thought it would be most appropriate to air during Mental Health Awareness Month. So come on and join me, and as I introduce you to Dr. Tanya Gilbert. So hello, Dr. Gilbert.
Hi, thank you for interviewing me.
So I would like to get a little bit on your background. I know some, but my Globies don't. So can you tell me, I know you have at least one doctorate degree, is that correct?
Yes, I have a doctorate in clinical psychology, and I also have a doctorate in divinity, and I have so many other degrees and certifications.
So you have been a clinical psychologist, and I understand you have worked within the clinical setting in both hospitals and prisons?
Yes, I've worked in various clinical settings. I've worked in hospitals, I've worked in prison systems, I've worked in schools.
Okay. And right now, you are a nomad, is that correct?
Absolutely. I've joined the Nomad life, living and traveling in my RV.
And you still are a practicing psychologist and you have patients, is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. I have a private practice and I have a full caseload. I see patients at least 8 hours a day.
And right now, you are accepting patients. I guess it would be patients, or would it be clients?
I prefer clients. Yes, I'm always open to taking new clients.
And so what are some of the issues that you deal with when you are working with a client, a new client?
Well, it just depends on what it is. Most folks nowadays, I'm dealing with a lot of major depression and severe anxiety.
And so what are some things that you find are techniques or things that help the clients that you have that are suffering from those maladies?
Well, what I find, I work a little different than some other therapists. Every therapist have their style. I meet my clients exactly where they are. And what I mean by that, I have extensive training in the depth and the breadth of mental health interventions. So I don't work from any specific frame, except I'm client-centered. That's Rogerian. That means I don't bring myself into it. It's all about the client. And I do cognitive behavior therapy, which is CBT, is like reframing their thoughts to help them reframe their behavior or their responses to the things that they're being challenged with in their lives.
Well, when we were talking, a couple of the things that you said that I thought were really interesting is that you were talking about how people sometimes settle for comfort over peace, because I was asking you how you happened to decide to become a nomad. Can you share a little bit about some of the things that went into your decision to become a nomad and what you mean by the statement that people choose comfort over peace?
Well, we in our language we interchange a lot of things, and comfort and peace is one. Most of us know comfort and peace is distinctly different. However, through your experience, it kind of melt in itself. So I decided that I wanted peace in my life more so than comfort. And what I mean by that, peace gives my autonomy to have my own schedule, to live in my RV, to get up and every day look at a different site when I want to. I can just drive my house to wherever I want to go. That gives me peace. It's a sense of freedom as well as a sense of stability. Comfort is a thing that we have been socially conditioned for, and comfort is on a spectrum from having a not minimal things as well as having many, many mansions. And so you find yourself on that spectrum of comfort, and then comfort can take away your peace because you're always working towards the thing that brings you comfort. So you have a house, but now you need a bigger house. So now you are working very hard to aspire to that thing that we've been socialized to believe that we must have in order to be whole. My frame is different. In order to be whole, you have to start off with the foundation of peace and being solid in your spirit. And then that brings comfort.
Now, we hear about people who've been in therapy like for their whole life. Is that the model that you look for, where you have your clients forever and ever and ever? Or what is it that your goal is with a client?
My goal with my clients is to heal, to cure, if you would say, but to heal. My goal is to look at the symptoms that a person is experiencing more so than whatever the label or the diagnosis is called. Look at the symptoms that they're experiencing, understand where those symptoms are coming from, how those symptoms are affecting their lives, and what do we need to do to address reducing and or removing those symptoms. No matter how negative a symptom is, it can add value to your life if you process that symptom, because now it's not a barrier. You embrace your barrier and it becomes an opportunity for growth.
How do you think, just briefly, people, especially in a nomad community, what can they do to address the sense of isolation and fear and anxiety?
You have to make a connection, even if it's a connection with nature itself. There has to be something more than you that you're just sitting in. And we can go more into depth of how to do those things and what to do, because there's so many things that you can do and can create out here as a nomad. And community is one.
And so you can see yourself living this nomad life. You had told me when we were talking that for all of your life, or most of your life, you've been a caregiver, and you realized at some point that you weren't taking care of yourself, and that contributed to your deciding that you wanted to get out and live this life and start taking care of yourself. How can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. As a lot of us, we are caregivers or caretakers of our families, and we are working in the field of caregivers, and I found that I've been taking care of somebody my entire life, from the age of about 12 up until now. I'm 65. And so, as I said, I found myself being very programmed. I get up and I do. You get up and you do because you are expected to get up and do. You're an item on the agenda of society that says you're supposed to do. And that's what I have always done, the things I'm supposed to do. But in getting up and doing, you forget about feeling. Because if you allow yourself to feel, then you get stuck sometimes, where people that I work with that have depression and anxiety and that's just your feelings, your emotions that you don't have a sense of control over. And for me, I realized that I'm just doing and I'm not feeling. And so when I start feeling like I wasn't taking care of me. I didn't even know who I really am. So I decided that I wanted to take to doing this, being a nomad, so I could really get to learn myself and learn what I wanted and what I needed. I know things that I like and I appreciate, but how can I take those things, incorporate them, and create the life that I truly want to live, not the life that was designed for me to live?
I think a lot of people at our age, because I'm 68 and you're in your 60s, I think find that they've lived their lives in a certain role
Mm-hmm.
that has been assigned to them as a caregiver and taking care of others, whether it's a parent or a caregiver of elderly parents or what have you. And the person that's last on the list is yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's why I think a lot of people are leaning towards a nomad existence, because it's finally they come to a point in their lives where they said, you know what, it's my turn now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And do you think that that's healthy?
That is healthy. That is healthy. But I find some folks are doing it and they're not really thinking about what it is that they're going to encounter when they make those decisions. They're just kind of in that box and they get tight and then they just pop.
Mm-hmm.
And then they come and do something like this, and it's not all roses, but I have to tell you, it's not all struggle either. So again, it comes to comfort, and it comes to peace, it comes to freedom. You have to examine and think about what you're going to do. What do you need to do that? And when you've been taking care of others your entire life, you really need to sit with yourself and discover what you're going to need, because most likely you don't know what you're really going to need because you've been taking care of others' needs.
That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. Well, I think if you're okay, we'll just do a very quick tour. You're in a Class A, and you have maybe we'll come back and do a tour another time. We mainly just wanted to meet you, but
Mm-hmm.
you're living in your Class A, and this is a Dolphin,
Mm-hmm.
a Dolphin 2005 limited edition.
Yes, it is.
And is this the first time that you had driven a motorhome?
This is the first time I have driven a motorhome. This is the first time I've owned a motorhome. I'm an avid camper, but by tenth. I camped for 33 years straight, up in anywhere from 2 to 8 weeks in the middle of a national forest in the Midwest. I love camping, but I would sleep in other folks' motorhomes
Okay.
when they had one. And I've had a van that I've used, but not to live in, just to camp in for a brief period. So yes.
Now I see on your card, one of the things it says is for change, fear less, live more.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like that is what you're doing now.
Absolutely. You have to be guided by faith and not fear. And with that said, if you fear less, you will live more. I invite everyone that comes within the sound of my voice is to make friends with your fear. Embrace your fear. Fear can either give you life or fear can take your life. If you use fear for the way it should be used, as fear as your question, not the answer. And what I mean by that, when fear comes up, you sit with it, just like I'm sitting here with you, Carol. You sit with fear and you say, okay, fear, what's going on? What does that mean? Why am I afraid to go in the dark? What's going to happen to me? And you answer those questions, so then you get to remove those obstacles that fear have brought to your attention.
Okay.
And when you're able to do that, then you're able to live a better life because there's no barriers there.
Well, maybe I better talk to you about some life coaching to get to my next level.
That's right.
But
I am a life coach. I am a transformational life coach. And whatever it is, whatever you need, I'm there for it. You can, for those that, maybe folks that know me, I'm Dr. Tanya Gilbert. My website is Dr. Tanya Gilbert for Change. Also, you can find me on any social media platform as Dr. Tanya Gilbert. I'm on all social media platforms as Dr. Tanya Gilbert. You can even call me directly and I will answer the phone at 1-844-Dr. Tanya. 1-844 Dr. Tanya.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Tanya. And we look forward to meeting again, discussing what people can specifically do to put aside fear, and just getting some words of encouragement and suggestions from you. So, Globies, we are going to be leaving now Dr. Tanya, but we do plan in the future to get back with her. And if you have, and I understand that you do sliding scale.
Yes, I can meet anyone at any income level to make therapy and coaching work for you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tanya, and we look forward to talking to you again. Well, Globies, I told you it was going to be an interesting interview, and we will see Dr. Tanya again down the road. Goodbye.